Am I the a-hole stories? Am I the a-hole for not switching places with my friend and ruining her life? This happened a couple of weeks ago, but I'm still getting crap about it. A friend of mine, Daya, fake name, asked me if I wanted to come with her on some errands and see her new car. I said yes, because I had some things to get done and my car was being checked over. We're in the same bubble and stayed masked the whole time. Well, while we were out, Daya ended up hitting another car while turning left. We were both shaken but mostly fine, but when I started to call the police, Daya started freaking out even more. She started begging me not to call the cops and to just go talk to the other driver. I didn't feel comfortable not calling them, so I went ahead and did. Then Daya started begging me to get in the driver's seat, saying I had to get in the driver's seat, and I had to claim I was the one driving. Turns out, Daya doesn't have a license. She wanted a car but didn't feel like getting her license, so her mom bought the car for her. I didn't feel comfortable lying to the police, so I continued to refuse and just got out of the car and waited on the sidewalk for them to get there. Well, Daya got arrested for driving without a license, insurance, or registration for her car, and just told me today she has been found at fault for the accident. Now, Daya, her mom, and half of our friends, are saying I'm an a-hole for not just switching places. She is now facing multiple fines, possible jail time, and being kicked out of our master's program because of all this. I tried to explain that I didn't feel comfortable lying to the police, but she just keeps calling me a privileged witch, and wishing horrible things would happen to me. So, am I the a-hole for not switching places with her? Edit. Several people have said I should include this, and I'm sorry I didn't in the original post. This was much more serious than a fender bender. This was my response to someone else. She took the entire front of his car off, or at least it looked like it. We were at an intersection and she was in a left turn lane with a yellow light and didn't look before she went. The other gentleman was coming the opposite way going straight. Both cars are totaled. The gentleman was not unconscious as I originally thought, but he did hit his head on the steering wheel and he had to be taken to the hospital. He did eventually get out of his car with help, and that's when I believe I should have talked to him. Daya and I were mostly alright, with just some bumps and bruises. Edit 2. Someone suggested I add this because of people saying I am the a-hole for calling the police, but for major accidents such as this one where I live, you are required by law to call the police and file a report. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You could get into financial, legal trouble, insurance fraud, for lying. You did the right thing. She's mad because she brought all this on herself. Daya is not a friend. Her request to switch seats would have landed OP in unnecessary legal and financial trouble. Everything she did that day is contrary to what a friend is supposed to do. Did she even ask OP if you were okay after the accident? I would cut her out of my life, and block anyone trying to blame you for not taking the fall. No. Don't drive without a license. She wasn't even doing something heroic. She was running errands. If Daya is this mean to you, she's not a good friend. This isn't a white lie. This is literally not having a license or insurance, doing some dumb show-off car run, being in a master's program and getting her mom and friends to gang up on you. Find better friends. Not the a-hole. She ruined her own life. She and her mom chose to be irresponsible. Not only did they do something illegal, but then asked you to do something illegal. Block her on all platforms. If she continues to harass you because she's an idiot that did idiotic things, tell her you'll inform the police that you are being harassed. Right. And to call OP privileged? Privileged is having your mom buy you a car, drive with no license, insurance, or tags, get in an accident, and think the consequences don't apply to you because someone else will take the blame. This is not OP's friend, and neither is anyone saying she should have taken the blame. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for still going to family events even though it makes my siblings and their mom mad because I'm an affair baby? I'm the child of an affair between my dad and my mom. My dad stayed married to his wife and sees me at my grandparents' house every other weekend. I also do my summer visits at my grandparents' house and my dad stays for the 2 months to spend time with me. My dad's wife and her kids, my older siblings, hate me and don't acknowledge me. I'm pretty mad about it, but I kind of get it now. My parents did a horrible thing, and while it's unfair, I'm getting punished for it. So, I gave up on having a relationship with my siblings. And I gave up on having any financial extras from my father, after finding out his wife was preventing him from spending any extra money on me other than child support. But my grandparents do love me and always invite me to family gatherings. When I go, It causes my dad's wife and my siblings to make a scene and leave. It honestly ruins the whole vibe, but I feel like I'm going just to spite them because I'm pissed off at being treated so badly. My dad obviously feels upset by it, but to his credit, hasn't made me feel unwelcome himself. Our city is at stage 3, and I found out there's a family gathering happening in a park. I'm thinking of going. Am I the a-hole for going? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You're not guilty for being born. Your dad needs to have a serious conversation with his wife and kids about how they blame an innocent child but still are able to have a relationship with him, the one that actually cheated. Oh Lord, as if he would do that. I'd bet any amount of money that OP's dad is more than happy to throw OP under the bus, so long as it keeps the heat off him. Not the a-hole, by the way. Obviously. Not the a-hole. But you shouldn't go there. Your dad's wife and siblings are toxic, and you shouldn't be around them. But then again, it's your choice. Also, seeing grandparents during a stage 3 lockdown? I wouldn't want to expose them to even more people. If possible. Info, are you going just to spite them because you're angry? Or are you going because you truly want to spend time with your family? A bit of both, I suppose. I feel it's very unfair that I can't be a part of the family when I technically am. You say it ruins the whole vibe when they make a scene and leave, but how does the rest of the family act when they do it? They just stand around awkwardly. All my aunts support my dad's wife and try to comfort her. My siblings sometimes say hurtful stuff to me, which then causes my dad and grandparents try to defend me and it becomes one big mess. I just find it really unfair that I have to stay away from the only family I have. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting my husband to take in his daughter? I, 25, just find out my husband, 38, has a daughter he didn't tell me about. His, 14, daughter found him on Facebook and messaged him, asking if she could stay with him because her mom is a substance addict, and she really doesn't want to stay with her grandparents because how conservative they are. He spoke to me about this and showed me the messages, asking me if we could take her in. I freaked out and told him no, asking him how he even knows if that's actually his daughter. He then showed me a copy of her birth certificate, and receipts that he'd been paying child support for the last 11 years. I questioned him on why he wasn't involved in his child life, and why is it all of a sudden his daughter is so important now. He said he didn't get along with his daughter's mom after they broke up, and he cut contact with them both because her mother kept using his daughter as a tool against him, and he thought it would be better for everyone if he just left. I'm pregnant with my first child and what I thought to be my husband's first too. I'm super angry that he didn't tell me he had a daughter walking around. Like, how do I even know that what his daughter is saying is true? Maybe she just got into a fight with her mom and now wants to run away. I mean, why on earth would anyone want to message their deadbeat dad for help? I know I'd never message my deadbeat dad asking him to stay with him. My husband say he owes it to his daughter to take her in, especially since he wasn't involved in her life for most of his life, and maybe that's true. But I'm not ready to take in a teenager. He thinks I'm acting just like his ex, and that I'm just another woman in his life trying to keep him away from his daughter. Am I the a-hole here? Now for the comments. Kind of a red flag that he never told you about his daughter. That's not a harmless secret. Edit, not the a-hole because you have been completely blindsided by this, and you can't be expected to magically be hunky-dory. Yeah, it's not like his daughter was one of those Sally Struthers kids in sub-Saharan Africa, who you can sponsor for like 70 cents a day. She's someone he is legally obligated to financially support for the last 14 years. Not really seeing how that could slip your mind. Your husband is a piece of work. Don't make this girl the villain in this story, she's not. He needs to immediately investigate the needs of the child. The fact that a 14-year-old, who may have been living with little supervision, thinks her grandparents are conservative, does not mean they are unfit or unloving. He must ramp up involvement and interest. That may or may not include her moving in with him/you. It is understandable that your concern for your unborn child takes precedence over that of a teenager you just became aware of. However, the same is not true of your husband. Your husband is a piece of work. Don't make this girl the villain in this story, she's not. Yes, thank you. OP keeps asking, how do we know if what she's saying is true, etc. Girl, your husband lied to you about his daughter. $20 says he's lying to you about the circumstances between him and his ex-wife. Why are you worried about his daughter telling the truth? If there's anybody you need to be worried about, it's the man you married. This girl isn't going to come in and mess up your idea of a perfect family. This idea actually never existed, because your husband built his relationship with you hiding huge things about himself. Don't take it out on his kid. Everyone sucks here. First of all, hey, huge betrayal from your husband. I can't even imagine how you must feel to have been fed these lies. He's paid child support this whole time without you knowing? Are your finances commingled? That's not even the issue, I'm just curious if you have been partly paying him that as well. And him being a non-existent father for so long, isn't a good look either. Him saying you're just another woman in his life trying to keep him away from his daughter, is rich as hell. He kept himself away, but doesn't even have the self-awareness to even own that. Sounds to me like he abrogates his guilt by blaming the mom. It wasn't better for everybody that he left, it was better for him. And I find it abhorrent. I get your position, I really do. You have been dealt a very bad hand. But imagine how bad it actually must be for her to have him as her last resort. It isn't a great position for you, but she needs his help, she's his daughter. He has a duty to help her. To be honest, he's shirked that duty up until now, but I guess better late than never. Separate, or try to, your anger with him from the 14-year-old who is grasping at straws, asking her ghost of a father for help. It must be super bad for her to sink this low. Edit, I just reread your post. I feel like you are acting as the Heisman, trying to keep the daughter away from your little family. You are creating alternate scenarios in your head to justify blocking this girl from her dad. If you block this girl, you're almost as bad as he is. Edit, sorry if I didn't make it clear, but my husband's daughter is currently at her grandparents'. I didn't realize when I was writing this that I was putting so much blame and anger on my husband's daughter. I really appreciate that you guys pointed it out. I'll speak to my husband again and hopefully work out what is the best course of action for everyone involved. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for resenting my mom? My, female 16, mom was a stay-at-home mom, until I was in 4th grade when she got a job as a teaching assistant. She said it would be great because she'll have something to do when I'm in school and she'll have weekends and breaks off. It was great at first and she seemed happier, but around a month later, she started tutoring after school, on breaks, and on weekends all day, and I couldn't be in the house when she was tutoring because it was too distracting for the kids, so I started going to my grandparents' house during the day. My mom went from being a room mom and making dessert for class parties and driving on field trips, to never taking a day off or canceling a tutoring session for anything. My grandparents drove me to school/picked me up, and took me to all my softball practices and games, and took care of me when I was sick and took me to all my doctor/dentist/orthodontist appointments. I would go home to sleep and that's it. My parents would leave on weekends to take a break, so I slept at my grandparents' house on weekends. My grandpa started driving on field trips and my grandma cooked for every class party. My classes all got used to Arabic food because of her. The only time my mom ever took a day off work was when her brother died 2 years ago. She refused to take me to the funeral because she couldn't deal with me. Now I'm in my junior year, and my mom and I don't talk. I don't think she even knows how old I am. My grandparents and I are very close because they're the ones that raised me since 4th grade. I came home one night, and my mom started yelling at me for never talking to her, and complaining that we aren't close anymore. I yelled back that it's because she abandoned me when I was 9, and always cared more about her job than me, and went back to my grandparents' house. My mom's back to pretending I don't exist, and now I feel bad. Edit, I asked my grandparents why my parents are like this, and my grandpa said, all he knows is my dad called him one day, and told him they don't want to be parents anymore with no explanation on why. Edit 2, this was their compromise. My parents were going to give me up and put me in foster care, legal in my state. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. All I'm hearing is she basically didn't parent you or ever see you, and you were raised by your grandparents. You have full rights to resent her because it seems like she chose her job and money over you. I'm so sorry. Also, taking every weekend off as a break from your kids is not normal behavior and is incredibly unfair. Also, what happened on birthdays? If she wasn't on vacation or working, she sometimes showed up for birthdays. Not the a-hole, it's not okay for any parent to just dump their child onto someone else, regardless of if they were your grandparents or not. I understand that it's difficult to raise children, but you don't get to just take a break when you've decided to bring them into the world. Your mom abandoned you, and it's justified that you feel angry about it. That's not your fault. What about your father? Is he in the picture? My dad's in the picture, but he's just as distant as my mom. Not the a-hole that are some truly bizarre behavior. Something major must have happened for her to basically abandon you to your grandparents and have almost nothing to do with you for years. Where's your dad in all this? He works, then comes home and locks himself in his room for the rest of the day. And that's it for this video, guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day, everyone.